Yo.
Yeah!
That's right.
We're doing Muppets.
Yep, I'm Hellhound.
I'm Spellbinder.
And,
It's time to start the music and turn on the lights.
And it's time to put on makeup. It's time to dress up right.
I can remember the rest of the song.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, we have a guest. Yeah, we are doing the Muppets, which were pretty much created by Jim Henson. And first seen in the movie, TV show Sam and Friends, which was in the late 50s. And then of course in Sesame Street, which made them even more popular. Then they got their own series, The Muppet Show, which is only has 3 seasons that are on DVD. We were promised a 4th season, which looked really freaking awesome. But season 4 was never released on DVD. We just got this awesome image that teased us, and sadly it never happened. So we're just got this reminder of what could have been. But luckily I have seasons 4 and 5 taped off of VHS from several years ago, and I since converted them onto a DVD. So I can watch the whole series whenever I want.
I think it's kind of funny that all the monstrous Muppets stayed on Sesame Street, and all the other ones went to go do the Muppet Show.
Well, it's weird because, like, what the hell are Muppets? Like, I mean, like in the real
world... Well, they're not quite a
like,
mop, and they're not quite a puppet. Yeah. So to answer your question, I don't know.
Well, it's supposed to be a, it's supposed to be like an anagram of a marionette and puppet. You know, marionette and puppet mixed together. But isn't a marionette a puppet?
Yeah, I mean, like,
yeah, on the strings, because like I guess these are like they're hand puppets, and sometimes their arms are operated by strings, I guess. But I don't know. Muppets sounds good, so
yeah.
But it's weird because like some of them are animals.
Like animal.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Kermit and Miss Piggy and Rolf and Fozzie are types of animals. Then some of them just look like generic monsters, like
Sweetums.
Yeah, Sweetums and
that
Dog
one that
Lion.
would eat everything.
Yeah,
whatever his name was.
Dog Lion, Thog, that big blue thing, and then some of them just look like typical like kind of puppet characters, like Dr. Teeth and all of them. But then some of them look like they're like humans, like Statler and Waldorf and Swedish Chef. But then it's weird, So like but
I like how in whatever country it is, like Swedish Chef's name is changed. Like he's the Norwegian chef in Sweden, and like I think in Germany he's the American chef.
Oh wow!
Or something, but he talks the same.
Bork, bork, bork. He's got human hands. He's got real human hands, which always kind of creeps me out.
I like how like every time he goes to do something, like it's stopped, or like he doesn't get it right. Like he has a cow that has the drawn out parts on. They're like, no, stop. Or like when he's gonna do frogs legs, like it's Rob, like Uncle Kermit, somebody.
Yeah. It's always a live thing. It's
don't say cut, say stop.
It's always like a live thing too, because even food in the Muppet Show is alive. We're gonna talk about the actual Muppets. We're not gonna talk about like Sesame Street, like Big Bird and Elmo and all that. We're gonna talk about like the actual official Muppets, So not like Labyrinth and Dark Crystal, and because we'd be here all day talking about everything that Jim Henson ever did.
There we go.
Special effects for. Yeah, I love it, but teach their own.
Oh.
It was nostalgic. I like Labyrinth better though. Well. I don't know, it's a close one. But they're both really dark and really
David
creepy.
Bowie's penis.
Makes perfect sense.
But I do like how like none of the Muppets in like those 2 movies actually pop up in anything else.
Yeah. The Skeksis. Those are some of the creepiest characters I've ever seen. Yeah, anyway, after the Muppet Show, all 5 seasons. 5? I only have 3 here. Then they started having live action theatrical motion pictures, starting with the Muppet movie, which is my favorite.
I could have sworn the Muppet movie came out first, then they got their own show.
No, the show started in 1976. Muppet movie came out in 79. The show was still on when Muppet Show first came on. No, still filming. Be done in a minute. Then there's a Great Muppet Caper, Muppets Take Manhattan, which I liked a lot better when I was a kid. Muppets Christmas Carol, Muppet Treasure Island, Muppets from Space, which everybody says this is the worst one, and it probably is, but I still love it. I remember seeing it in the theaters and liking it. Then we have the
recent one I've actually seen in theaters was Muppet Treasure Island.
I love that. Tim Curry is freaking awesome in that.
It's weird.
It's weird because I love Michael Caine. I'm a huge Michael Caine fan, but I feel like in Muppets Christmas Carol, he was a good Scrooge for the most part, but sometimes he seemed like he was bored, and like sometimes he seemed like he was phoning it in. Don't get me wrong, he was awesome, but I don't know, I think it's probably hard to interact with Muppet characters, but with Tim Curry, it came so natural to him. Like other people have pointed out, he practically is a Muppet himself, So it just came totally natural. He fit in with Muppet characters perfectly.
If anything, like the saddest story in the Muppets, like Electric Mayhem, like Animal attacks Ed McMahon, gets put down.
Oh yeah.
Zoot gets arrested for drugs, and Janice gets hooked up with Tommy Lee, is dying of hepatitis.
Tommy Lee gave me hepatitis.
Fuck you, Howard. I'm dying.
I'm dying. No, wait, man. Animal's dead. Electric Mayhem's done. Dr. Teeth. It was a good while it lasted. Got you a lot of tail. Josie the Pussycats, back of that meant something. I love Electric Mayhem. They're one of my favorite bands. Except when they had, I think Lips was the trumpet player. He was kind of pointless. Like, he didn't even really have a character. He never
Trumpet
talked
doesn't
to
belong in
anyone.
a rock band.
Yeah, exactly. The saxophone is fine though with Zoot, And Animal, of course, he's the only member of Electric Mayhem who I think has been in like every Muppet-related media, including Muppet Babies, which is one of my favorite cartoons growing up.
Actually, Janice showed up in Muppet Babies.
Yeah, briefly, but she wasn't like a recurring main character.
If anything, Animal's the only one that of like Electric Mayhem that people actually can remember and name like on the spot.
Yeah.
And I like him. He's my favorite.
Dr. Teeth on keyboards, Floyd Pepper on bass, Janice on guitar, Zoot on saxophone, and Animal on drums. I think each one of them was performed by a different. Like the original main Muppet cast was 5 people. It was Jim Henson, Frank Oz, Dave Goelz, Jerry Nelson, and Steve Whitmire was later. Richard Hunt? Was it Richard Hunt? I think Richard Hunt.
Honestly, I don't even remember who.
Don't quote me on that.
I know Jim Henson did it, but I don't know anybody else.
Well, Jim Henson, Frank Oz, Dave Goelz, and Jerry Nelson for sure. I can't remember I think the 5th guy was either Richard Hunt or somebody else, but whoever that was performed Janice. Jim Henson did Dr. Teeth. Frank Oz, of course, did Animal. Floyd was Jerry Nelson, and Zoot was Dave Goelz, I think, who also did Gonzo. Then Jim Henson did Kermit, and I think Waldorf. One of them. I think Statler and Waldorf are the funniest characters in the Muppets. They're
so
freaking hilarious.
Shade. It's great.
I love their heckling. I love when they heckle Fozzie during his stand-up acts. It's just me. I would laugh at that. If I went to see Fozzie and he was doing the stand-up act, I would laugh. I think he's funny.
Can you guys call me an ambulance? You're an ambulance.
Yeah. Statler and Waldorf are freaking hilarious. And then Frank Oz, of course, did Fozzie and Miss Piggy. Dave Goelz, as I said, did Gonzo. Jerry Nelson did...
Can we talk about how Kermit's just okay with getting beaten up all the time?
Scooter, I think. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, Miss Piggy, yeah, domestic abuse, man. Like, domestic violence. She's always kicking... Well, she's always beating everybody up. Yeah! He's always, like, karate chopping someone. Any female that talks to Kermit is going to feel Miss Piggy's wrath.
I like my favorite one is like when he did like with Lydia, like, oh Piggy, have you met Lydia? No, has your face met my hoof?
Yeah.
It's like, I do like how the joke is like the pigs in space are supposed to be like the bears in space, but then he cuts to Kermit he's beaten up like Kurt Fleischer, like Kermit, whatever the bear space, it's changed. Like, yeah, but Kurt, it's changed.
Oh yeah.
I can't remember what the other pig's name is though.
Link Heartthrob.
Huh?
Link Heartthrob.
The pig.
The pig on Pigs in Space?
I don't know.
Yeah, Link Heartthrob, and then...
I never learned their names.
Yeah, it's kind of like a Star Trek parody. And then later, I think they tried to be a little more like Star Wars. Star Wars came out during the course of the show's original run. But yeah, Steve Whitmire came later, I believe. And then Jim Henson also did Rolf.
Honestly,
it's hard to remember who did which Muppet because there's so many.
Honestly, the one thing that surprised me about the Muppet Show is like the list of like guest characters they had. Like they had Vincent Price twice, they had Alice Cooper, I think 3 times.
I think everybody only appeared once because it was in the contract.
Vincent Price showed up twice. They had
I only remember the one with the ghosts. That was my favorite episode too. All that horror stuff.
No, he's on twice.
I don't know, man. I'm pretty sure I read the other day that each person was only on once, and I even looked it up. I looked up all the episodes, and if there's another lost Vincent Price episode out there, that would be awesome. I'd love to see it.
Yeah.
Because I don't even think they showed up on Muppets Tonight, which was in the 90s. And that was more like a TV studio as opposed to a theater, as opposed to a stage show.
I do like the new Muppet, the one that most recent was like, it's like
the Muppets,
like The Office, which was pretty funny.
Yeah, it was a more adult. The thing is, Jim Henson's intentions was, he didn't want it to be like Sesame Street, which is totally geared towards kids and educational. He wanted it to be able to be enjoyed by kids and adults alike. And so There's not any like adult humor that's too risque, but any that is will go.
I feel like sometimes like it's too smart for its own good.
Oh yeah, I mean it is very childish. They have a lot of kids songs and stuff, but you know, I think
no, but like sometimes now that I'm older, I go back and watch it. Like I get some of the references now that I didn't get when I was little.
Well, it can definitely be enjoyed by adults, but it was a huge part of my life when I was a kid too. It's very nostalgic. I grew up with the Muppets, and
I think that covers everything.
Favorite things. Yeah, I guess we talked about all the movies pretty much, or at least mentioned them.
Yeah.
What'd you think of the more recent one with Jason Segel and Amy Adams?
I liked it. I didn't think Amy Adams needed so many numbers to sing.
Yeah.
But, you know.
Well, I feel like it was a good way to reintroduce the Muppet characters, and the characters in the movie, like they came at it from an angle that the Muppets were forgotten and were kind of disbanded, and that's kind of how it was in real life. People kind of weren't talking about the Muppets; they weren't as popular anymore. I think that was a good angle. I feel like there was way too much focus on the human characters, and also Walter, who's a Muppet himself. I think he got like a little too much focus too. Like the main Muppet characters that we all know and love were kind of like in the background. And I know they did that with with Michael Caine and Christmas Carol, and kind of with Tim Curry and Treasure Island. But those were adaptions of of famous stories. Those were the Muppet version of famous work, so it kind of fit a little more.
I'm kind of wondering why the bad guy in that movie couldn't laugh himself.
Oh yeah, evil laugh. Yeah, Chris Cooper. They did an awkward.
I did like the part where I was like, yeah, we won. Like, he hits the thing by accidentally, just goes down to $1,000.
Yeah, it's like, oh no, we were way off. It's like, well, it makes me feel a little better. See, Kermit's my favorite Muppet, obviously. I think he's kind of everybody's favorite and most well-known. But on the Muppet Babies, the cartoon, it was a spin-off that came out in the 80s. I was like Gonzo the best. I think he was the most interesting character in Muppet. I loved that show. It was so different from the Muppet Show. It was more childish, but at the same time, they had all kinds of clips from, like famous movies. There's so many pop culture references. There's
they had an actual cat.
Yeah, and there's like clips from sci-fi and even horror movies and like clips from old video games and I remember there's a clip from The Blob one time. They're trying to get away from like Nanny's awful cooking or something. The Blob, the part where it comes under the door. But I've got that the entire Muppet Babies cartoon. That I recorded onto VHS tapes years ago and have converted into DVD. Shitty quality, but it's the only way to watch them because they don't have a official DVD release because of all the copyright issues from the movie clips.
Well, that's video. We're going to go write angry letters to the Muppets.
That's right. Yeah, I think we covered everything.
Yeah.
The Muppets are awesome, a huge part of our childhood. There's really not too much to talk about other than...
Yeah, it's good. Go watch them.
Yeah. All right, until next time, I'm Hellhound.
I'm Spellbinder.
Thank you for watching Dead Level Discussions.
See ya.